All right, we're back in Unity and it's time to set up our tile map. The first thing that we're gonna do is create a new level to build on. So that way we don't end up overwriting our existing stuff. We can go back and forth and take a peek at what we've done before and see what we might want to reuse from there and not overwrite those changes. So we're gonna start by just saving our level 1 as a level 3. So I'll go File and do Save As. Make sure that I'm inside of my scenes folder, and I'm just going to name this level 3 or whatever your next level is. So go ahead and pick, if you have more levels, use whatever. Next, I want to disable the environment. So we've got this entire environment object here that has most of our environment objects, or most of our world objects, the ground pieces and everything else underneath it as children. So if I just disable that, you should see that most of the world, except for these more interactive parts, just kind of disappears. And we'll worry about these interactive parts later. We'll probably just remove them from this level. In fact, you can just go to the B encounter here. Let's do that and just disable that as well to kind of clear this out. So we've got a little bit emptier, more of a blank level to start with. All right, now we're going to begin our tile map system. There are a couple things that we need to do. First, we're going to need to create a tile map, and then we're going to need to create a palette. To create a tile map, we're going to go to Game Object, 2D Object, Tile Map, and choose Rectangular. That should give us a grid with a tile map underneath it. I'm going to name it Environment and hit enter. Now, if you don't see the tile map option there, make sure that you've got the tile map package imported. You should have it in if you created the project the same way, but if not, you can go to Package Manager, and then inside of the Unity Registry section, scroll down and you should find the 2D Tile Map Editor section. Grab that, import it, grab the latest version, pull it in, and then you'll be able to create your tile map. Now that I've got my tile map created, you can see I've got grids here, but they're all kind of blank, and there's not an easy way or visible way to do anything about that, except for this little button here, the Open Tile Palette, and that's what I want to do. I want to click this, and it's going to pop up a new window. Mine popped up off screen, and it's a little bit small, so I'm going to make it nice and big. We want to make it big enough that we can see everything in here, because we're going to be creating a palette in here, setting up all of our different kind of paintbrush pieces that we're going to use, and then painting with it. So to begin, we've got an environment here, but no palette. So we have this environment is showing us which tile map we're on. That's this tile map right here that's selected. And the palette is what we can paint with. We can create multiple palettes, and that's what we're going to do. And we'll separate the palettes out based on their use. We'll do some for environment, some for the background, and then we can do some for other things like props or whatever types of things that we want to separate out on. Let's do a create new palette, and then we're going to name this environment. I'm going to hit the create button. I'm matching the names, but the names don't have to match, by the way. So just because I matched my names doesn't mean that they all have to match. Now I'm in the art folder, and I think I'm just going to drop this tile map into my root art folder right now, and then I'll probably move it into a tile maps or tile palettes folder afterwards. But I think I'm just going to leave it in the root for now. Now that I've got my tile palette created, you see I've got environment here for my palette, and I'm on that map, or the tile map named environment as well. I can go into my art folder, go to my ground subfolder, go to my grass folder, and I'm going to select all of these grass icons. So I hit Control A, make sure that they're collapsed though, because if I have one selected like that and I hit Control A, this isn't going to work. So I'll collapse them all, hit Control A, and then drag them right into this tile map area. And you can do them one at a time, but I find it's a lot faster to do them all at once. Now for this folder, it's going to generate tiles into a folder or into whichever folder I've selected. I'm going to make this match with the visual tiles where the PNGs are, or I guess these are PNGs, all of our grass sprites. So I select that same folder, and now you can see I've got my grass tiles here. I can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. If you don't see it, just make the window a little bit bigger, or grab this bar and drag it up. There's also an option over here to hide the bottom part. I turn that on and off so you can see just the visual change there. You can drag around with the middle mouse button to pan, and again, zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. Now it's time to do some, tile map editing first. Before we draw onto the tile map, let me show you really quickly how we can modify our tile palette. So let's zoom in. In fact, let's make this much bigger. And let's say I just wanted to rearrange this. You don't have to rearrange this, by the way, but there are some nice benefits sometimes for rearranging it, and it's important to know how to rearrange it. The biggest benefit is that you can select areas of the tile map and paint with them. But if I selected this as a brush and painted with it, it would look kind of weird. I might, however, want to make like a little platform though that's got a center piece like this, a right piece, and a left piece. To do that, I can go into tile map edit mode, and then I can go select the piece that I want, and then just click over here and paint it down. Now that does give me 2 of the same tiles here, so if I wanted to remove that, I could just go in and hit the erase button there and clear that out, but it doesn't hurt to have multiple of them in there, especially if I want to create different sections like this where I've got this little platform that I can then just go out and paint. Now, speaking of painting, I think it's time that we give it a little try. First, let's take the tile palette and we're going to dock it down here. I'm going to grab it and dock it right here on, let's go with the left-hand side of the project view for now. I'm thinking the right-hand side might be better, but I'll leave it there for now. And I'm going to select this tile right here, the middle one with the grass. And then we're going to go into paintbrush mode. In paintbrush mode, wherever I click, a tile will appear. So I can just click and drag and you see the tile appears. I can drag down here. Oops, I get some extra tiles. That's okay. I just go over to the eraser and hit erase. Now, if I want to draw a grid or a big chunk of ground underneath it, I probably don't want to go like this and start painting and dragging all around. It's a little slow. So I just use the fill area or the paint a filled box, which is U for the hotkey. Click, drag, and now I've got a nice big area. Again, mouse wheel to zoom in and out, and left mouse to move around. So now I've got the core of my intro part, or that base piece that I had. Let's take a look at my map again. All right, here we are. So I've got my characters going to start right here. Then I wanted to have a wall up there with a flag on it. So let's add a wall next. Let's find, well, let's see. What do I want to add for a wall? I guess we could just use a big piece of dirt for now. Do a big, tall wall right here. In fact, I'll probably drag this out a little bit so that it goes way past the edge of the screen. And then we'll put a little ledge up there. So I want the ledge that looks like, where's the one that I want? Is it this one? I'm thinking it's probably that one. And we'll put one of those like right up there. Let's see, zoom in. Oh, that doesn't have a rounded corner. Oh, that's the one I want. Oh, here, there. We'll just add 2. And then I'm going to take my flag. And the flag I'm not going to do as a tile map piece because these flags are interactable objects. And while you can make tile map pieces interactable, it's not quite the same, and it's quite a bit more complicated, and it'll add a lot of complexity that we won't really gain anything from. So for our interactable object, we'll just place it right up here. So now I've got the beginning of that level for real. I've got kind of the key piece up here that I want to show them, and I've got a bunch of extra junk. But if I save and press play, I'm going to expect that my character is just going to fall right down through the ground. Let's hit play and watch. So the reason for that is pretty simple. When you're building out a tile map game, you probably don't want colliders automatically everywhere on the tiles, right? I mean, just like sprites, we don't want everything to have a collider on it. So we have to tell the system what should have a collider. So we're going to go to the grid and go to the environment object, or the sub object here. And we've got our tile map and the tile map renderer. We're going to add a tile map collider 2D. So add that tile map collider 2D. We leave all of the settings default for now and press play. And we should now find that our character can land on the tile map and land, let's see, can run around. I can hit that wall just like I would expect to. And I can even almost make it up to that flag. You can see I can jump and get pretty close. Things are looking quite a bit better. So let's save and take a real quick look at what we've done in plastic. So if we go to plastic, see the project settings is not important. Neither is that temp one. We've got our level 3. That's something we've actually added. And then we've got all of these ground assets. So these are the tiles that we've created. You can see over here to the right that it's got a couple of fields on there. We've got the sprite showing which sprite the tile is for, obviously. The color if we want to have some tinting. And then the collider type. We can have none, grid, and sprite. If you're curious what those do, the none option just makes it not have a collider. Pretty obvious. So if you want to have a section with colliders and have a specific sprite that doesn't have a collider, you can just set that to none, or that tile type to none. If we use sprite, then it will use one based off of the sprite's outline. So imagine we've got our ramps. We're definitely going to want those to match with sprite. And then, of course, there is grid, which just matches with the cell shape. So matches with the actual grid. So it kind of just gives us a square in this case. Other than that, the only file that we have changed is our environment tile palette down here, which is this prefab. So let's say that we've added our first tile palette and commit our changes. Added first tile palette and started level 3, and we'll check that in.